size brush, making sure it does give me a nice little point to it. I want to load it up with a decent amount of um, paint. But again, the big thing about acrylic paints is that you are going to be doing this in layers. Don't expect, like, a big thing that has been cropping up that I've seen in the painting world is some paints or some things about contrast paints, very slap chop method, just one coat, get it done type thing, which is great for intro work. But when you are wanting to get into kind of more detailed work around miniatures, learning the prime aspects of layering paint is going to be oh so vitally important aspect, I feel. So again, that's going to be more kind of my opinion. And I know I'm kind of talking to myself, but first stream, not expecting a ton of viewers. But if you are here, thank you for stopping by. I say that as this is my post afterwards, really talking to the people that are going to watch this maybe later. But if you did stop by watching this video for my first stream, gotta say, I really do appreciate you for stopping by. Helps out a ton, and I hope to see you in the future. Definitely stop by and chat me up. Be more than happy to talk about paints. Be happy to talk about board games. One of my favorite little topics to talk about is anything board game related. But also, I teach science. So if you have any science questions for me, be more than happy to hear what you got for me. All right. So I'm really just trying to get the paint going around here. And it does really sound like at this point that I am doing like a mini painting tutorial, which I guess on some aspect I am. Really just wanting to, you know, keep myself busy, I guess. It is cold where I live currently, so apologies if I got a little bit of the sniffles, just because, you know, allergies kind of kick in around this season. So it tends to kind of seep into things. Now, another little thing that is going to be strange is that the areas in which I see are gold in my little reference picture that I do intend to be gold, I'm going to currently paint them gunmetal. Mainly because, again, I'm looking for that very dark, grimy kind of feel to King Arthur himself. I'm not really looking for this to be bright and vibrant and I don't know, comic book style. I'm looking this to be a very dark grime feel. And also, if I get certain areas in this to be not quite the color that I'm expecting, that is fine too. Nice thing about acrylic paints is, as I said earlier, this is a layering kind of paint. It does really like to go one on top of the other. So having this go in layers will definitely be a benefit rather than a hindrance when it comes to my detail work. Oh, there goes one of the sniffles. Told you. That cold season's gonna be kicking my butt. Okay. I think I'm getting two going here. And when I get to some of these larger surfaces, I might actually switch up my brush, especially because I want to... Ooh, I just realized I'm not actually on camera. Sorry. First streamer habits, I guess. I want to make sure I'm getting into those recesses the proper way. and certain brushes are better for that than others. Okay, so generally, as it's going right now, hard to tell on camera, but you can sort of see the shine coming off of the metal that's happening on King Arthur himself. But it is a process. Oh, this glorious king. I do want to talk about him a lot. Uh, that is definitely going to be Bone. Sorry. I saw this little face here and I'm like, he's probably Bone, so I probably don't want to touch him. Anyways, I would love to gush about King Arthur and how he is in the board game, but I definitely do not want to spoil you folks. Because in the future, if this is something that my chatters would love to see, love to do, is play a game or campaign of Tainted Grail. I definitely don't want to spoil the whole story of Tainted Grail. Whole good aspect of those kind of narrative games is seeing the story for yourself and experiencing the story for the first time. So I definitely do not trying to learn to be on camera. There's this little part right in his back that's why I kind of go off to the side to try and get into. I'm trying to get down there. Is anybody gonna see his backside? No. Do I care? Yes. Because I know it won't be finished. Okay. Really trying to make sure his top bit, they're all painted that more darker silver that I want himself. If I had some actual chatters here, which no shame, again, this is my first stream, not expecting a ton of people here, but would put a pull out of just, hey, what kind of color should his hands be? Or what kind of color would you suggest for his more cloth parts of him? Because that would be definitely some good interaction, I feel. Okay, make sure it's good. All right. So now we're getting into his midsection here. And that is definitely going to be a lot of metal in there. Did already say there was going to be quite a bit of metal for this guy, so not too surprised. Let's see if we can't bring the light up a little bit. I do like to do this. I think that is going to be better overall. Might hurt my eyes, but better for you guys to see. Really get into those crevices. Just talking about King Arthur. Oh, but yeah, I don't. He's really good character in this game, and if you've ever played or didn't know, there is a video game version of Tainted Grail. It is a fantastic little game. Feels like Skyrim. There's lots of little similarities between it and Skyrim, but definitely has some of its own little interesting mechanics. Uh, but I also feel like there is a fairly significant change to how they portray King Arthur in the video game compared to the board game. Now, if you've played the board game, that would be a major spoiler, just because you'd know what King Arthur is like in the board game, and if I'm saying, oh, he's vastly different, that's not good, right? So I don't want to say too much on top of that. Get more of my gunmetal on there. Starting to run out. Not too surprised I am running out because, again, this is a miniature, quote unquote miniature. Quite a large boy. Love this large boy, though. Very, very good. Okay. Let's see. Any chatters or anything like that? By the way, if you are viewing this after I am done streaming, after I've posted this to YouTube's or anything like that, again, if you would like to see more of this content, I would highly suggest that you come by. Currently, the schedule is every Wednesday. I'm going to be streaming starting at 4 o'clock Central. As the current climate of my streaming availability. But stop by every Wednesday. I'd be more than happy. I might do some weekend style streams as well, just because I know on average more people are more available on Wednesdays. Also, if you're wondering why I keep kind of like pushing them down, this is just stuck to some sticky tack, and that sticky tack it's good, but it's not going to be the greatest thing to hold my mini there. I don't want to do anything like super glue or anything like that to keep my mini on my base. But I do want to make sure he's stuck on there enough so I can get him going. I guess streams are also just a good way that I can ramble. I mean, I'm here to entertain, right? Share my knowledge, share my niche little interests, and entertain. That's kind of the big goals of being a streamer, right? Which definitely like doing. Used to work in this museum called the Cosmosphere. If you are a native Kansan, you should definitely know what that is. If you don't, there's this wonderful little town called Hutchinson, Kansas. Um, and in Hutchinson, Kansas is a space museum. I used to work there, and I used to be uh, a performer that played Dr. Goddard, Dr. Robert Goddard, which Dr. Goddard is a wonderful scientist who helped us really get into space. A lot of his contributions, along with Werner von Braun, is what led us into modern rocketry. And Dr. Goddard is colloquially known as the father of modern rocketry. So, very, very cool show. I used to do it, so very, very interested in space. It's actually one of my favorite topics to talk about in terms of science. So, you get me going on space, I probably won't stop talking. Kind of thinking back on it, these are probably going to be leather straps, just like this is here. There is definitely going to be that center. So, little boo boo. That is okay. Again, one of the great things about acrylic paints is just being able to paint over it. Little mistakes are okay. Feel like a little Bob Ross video here. Happy little accidents, right? R.I.P. my dude. R.I.P. Alright. Trying to make sure I have decent coverage on it. Now I might go back over this with a second coat, might not. Generally liking where this is going. Another thing about these kind of paints, and especially the war paints themselves, whenever you're painting miniatures, a good thing to do is give shades to it. So while this might be really, really light right now, when I am done with base layering, this is going to get a pretty dark shade overall. Probably going to go with a dark tone with a little bit of thinking some green tone maybe. Actually, honestly, some blue tone. So probably dark and blue tone to give the overall kind of dark vibe that I'm going for.